Hey everyone, my name is Shanice and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing a very short and very quick book haul, my very first book haul on this channel. My birthday was last week. I just turned 29, and so in celebration of my birthday I got a few books. Now I technically only bought one of these and a few others were part of a library book sale. I gave a donation, so like I guess they technically weren't free, but like they basically were free. And then one book I actually did get for free from a little library box. These books are completely random. Some are contemporary. I think there's one that was released this year. There are a few that are backlisted. There's a classic. There's one book that I'm really excited about. That's the one that I did pay for. And there's really no rhyme or reason for why I got any of these other than they were the ones that I came across during the library sale. I have 7 books in total to talk about, so let's begin. The first is a classic novella that was published in 1915 that I have been meaning to read forever, and that is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, and my very ugly, very cheap, but free edition was translated by Stanley Korngold. So the novella itself, in this edition at least, is around 55 pages. The rest of it is an introduction and explanatory notes at the end. So the premise of this story is that a young man wakes up from a very strange dream and he finds himself turned into some sort of insect, and from that moment he finds himself propelled into alienation and scorn. I literally don't know anything else about this book, but I know that everyone recommends it. I feel like practically everybody else on earth has read this but me. It's a very short read, so yeah, I'm expecting to finish this in one sitting. I don't even know if you can see this. I don't think it's focusing, but this was bought in Borders, so RIP Borders. So that was the one book I got from the little library box, and then the next few I got from the library book sale. And the first of that batch is called The Honorary Consul by Graham Greene. Never heard of this book before. I have heard of the author, of course, but yeah, didn't know anything about this. It's a pretty good condition Penguin classic paperback, so yeah, I knew I had to have it and add it to my collection. So I'm just going to read the summary because again, I had never heard of this before. So it says that in a provincial Argentinian town, Charlie Fortnum, a British consul with dubious authority and a weakness for drink, is kidnapped by Paraguayan revolutionaries who have mistaken him for the American ambassador. Dr. Eduardo Plar, a local physician with his own divided loyalties, serves as a negotiator between the rebels and the authorities. These fumbling characters play out an absurd drama of failure, hope, love, and betrayal against the backdrop of political chaos. The Honorary Consul is both a gripping novel of suspense and a psychologically and sociologically penetrating study of personal and political corruption. So yeah, I don't know. I don't normally read political thrillers, but might as well give it a chance. And it is set in South America, in Argentina. I am curious to see what kind of perspective Graham Greene provides to that sort of political backdrop. So I'm going to keep an open mind when I start reading this. I sometimes feel like some of the best books I read are the ones that I go into not knowing anything about, so who knows, maybe this is one of those. And this was also made into a film in 1983 starring Richard Gere and Michael Caine. And what I thought was interesting was that the musical theme of that movie was composed by one of my heroes, Paul McCartney. And the next book is the most recent publication, and I actually got an ARC, so I guess someone really didn't like it and just needed to give it back. So this one is called Brown Girls, and it's by Daphne Palasi Andreades. And from what I gather from the summary in the back, it's about a group of women of color, young women of color, living in Queens. They're all friends, and we follow them throughout their lives, and we see how their friendships ebb and flow, and how they, as they grow older, drift apart a little bit. It talks about multi-generational families. It talks about the first generation experience. I think some of the characters here are either immigrants themselves or daughters of immigrants. So yeah, it talks about like multiculturalism, New York City life, probably artistic ambitions and following your dreams. You know, it's a bit of that. And I really liked the blurb on the front cover by Sandra Cisneros, who says, a poetic story for anyone who has longed to leave home, only to find that home resides within you. So yeah, it sounds really promising, and I've also heard really, really good things about this. Now, when I found the next two titles, my jaw dropped. The book that I was going to ask for my birthday was one of these, and so when I saw this, as I was leaving the library, you know, I wasn't even planning on checking out that last section in front of the entrance door, but like, I don't know, something told me go check it out, and I did, and I found these two, and like, I honestly couldn't believe it. It was like meant to be. So, those two are from one of my favorite writers, Jhumpa Lahiri, and I've been meaning to get to these anyway, so perfect timing. The first that I found was The Lowland, and this was published in 2013, again by Jhumpa Lahiri, who's a goddess, one of my favorite authors. Again, I'm going to read it just because I don't actually know what this is about. I just know I want to read everything Lahiri has published. So, according to the summary, The Lowland is an engrossing family saga steeped in history, the story of two very different brothers bound by tragedy, a fiercely brilliant woman haunted by her past, a country torn apart by revolution, and a love that endures long past death. Moving from the 1960s to the present, and from India to America, and across generations, this dazzling novel is Jhumpa Lahiri at the height of her considerable powers. And yeah, I've just seen reviews on Goodreads that are raving, like 5 stars, maybe 4 stars at the least. So I just can't wait. And this is right up my alley. I mean, I love multi-generational sagas. I love stories about the immigrant life, the immigrant experience, first generation sons and daughters, you know, that is exactly what I like writing about and what I like reading about. So yeah, knowing how brilliant Lahiri is as a writer and how engrossing her stories are, I expect fabulous things. I feel like this is going to be a 5 stars. And then the other book is actually one of the short story collections that I was planning on reading anyway in December. It was my personal December short story collection pick. And I was going to buy it, but again, this just happened upon me at the library book sale. So that one is Unaccustomed Earth, again by Jhumpa Lahiri, and this is her short story collection follow-up to The Interpreter of Maladies, which won the Pulitzer Prize. I think it may be the only short story collection to have won the Pulitzer. I may be wrong about that, but it's one of the few at the very least. And so this short story collection sort of follows similar themes that Lahiri has always written about. There are a lot of characters of Indian descent who are grappling with identity and family life and family pressures and societal and cultural pressures. And these stories move across cities like Seattle and countries like India. So I'm always excited to just pick up something new from Lahiri. And again, I was meaning to read this anyway at the end of the year. So now I own my own copy that I didn't really have to pay for if you don't count the donation that I gave the library. But yeah, super, super excited for this. And this was published in 2008. The next novel is a backlist title, but it's the last of the library book sale haul. And it's called The Girls by Emma Cline. I'm sure you've heard of this already. All I know about this is that it follows a fictionalized version of the Manson clan group. At the beginning, we meet a girl named Evie who is walking around and she sees this group of girls, and those are the girls who ended up being part of, you know, Charles Manson group slash cult. And so Evie just looks at this group of girls and they look so free and independent and happy and in love, and she just wants what they seem to have. And so we follow her trying to be with them, join their group, and eventually find that freedom that she's looking for. But of course, the whole backdrop is that they're a cult, you know, they're not actually that free. And yeah, I've heard really, really good things about this one too. Shaylin from Shaylin Writes especially loves Emma Cline and has raved about this one. So yeah, happy to finally get my hands on a hardcover. This is actually a very nice hardcover, not much damage to it, so I got like super lucky at the library this time. I did read Emma Cline's short story collection Daddy, and I hated it. I thought it was boring, kind of a waste of my time. I'm hoping that her novel is much better than pretty much anything that I found in that collection. And I see in the back that there's a blurb by Lena Dunham, and that could go either way. I love the Showgirls, but some of her other projects I'm not too fond of. But she says, Emma Cline has an unparalleled eye for the intricacies of girlhood, turning the stuff of myth into something altogether more intimate. She reminds us that behind so many of our culture's fables exists a girl, unseen, unheard, angry. This book will break your heart and blow your mind. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is the one book that I actually bought with my own money. And you know, by now, if you've seen some of my videos, I think you'll notice that I love reading a book and then watching the TV show or the film adaptation. I love both of the mediums, so I like seeing how they work together and how they interpret each other. And so there's a movie coming out in September based on this book. And I've never read anything by this author, even though she is extremely popular and well regarded, and I don't even know, I think she has like hundreds of novels out, which I don't even know how that's possible, but anyway, preamble aside, that is Blonde by Joyce Carol Oates. And I have the very nice 20th anniversary edition with Marilyn Monroe on the front. So yes, I mentioned there's going to be a movie adaptation coming out on Netflix in September, directed by Andrew Dominic, and starring Ana de Armas, who I really love. And so if you couldn't tell already from the cover of this novel or from the trailer of the movie, this is a fictionalized, dramatized account of Norma Jean Baker's life. Norma Jean Baker would eventually be Marilyn Monroe. This is considered one of Joyce Carol Oates' best works and most famous works, and I checked Goodreads, and I think literally all of the reviews are 5 stars. The 5 stars are overwhelming. So I don't know, I just get another good feeling about this, just like I did the Lowland. I don't know all that much about Marilyn Monroe or Norma Jean Baker, and even with the little that I do know of her, I have seen some of her movies, like I've seen Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, I've seen How to Marry a Millionaire, I've seen Some Like It Hot, and just from those few performances, I always felt like, I don't know, the film itself, the creators were always like exploiting her, like she was always playing the same character, and she was really good at it. Like, it does take a lot of skill to play like the characters that she did, but I could tell that she had so much more to offer. And I don't know, whenever I've seen her on film, I don't know, it makes me sad a little bit, because I can tell that she was someone who was like fighting to reach her potential, but like, I guess because of the way she looked, because of, you know, her beauty, like no one took her seriously. So yeah, I just imagine this is going to be pretty tragic, because her life had, you know, its ups and its definite downs. And yeah, I feel like I'm in good hands with Joyce Carol Oates, even though I've never read anything by her. But yeah, I'm really excited, as I am for all of the books, but for this one especially, because I'm looking forward to seeing how it compares to the film adaptation that I mentioned coming out in September. I would really love to do a book to film review to see how this novel was ultimately translated to the screen. And this edition also has an introduction by Elaine Showalter, who's very famous for her literary criticism. Unlike most books with introductions, I'm actually looking forward to reading this one, because I feel like Showalter actually, you know, her work and her criticism has to do with the book, the novel, and the themes at hand. Usually I just feel like they get a famous critic to write the introduction and completely spoil everything that happens in the book. But with this, I feel like I'm again in good hands. And that's it. I know this is a very short video, and I think maybe my shortest. Yeah, these are just some of the books, the random collection of books that I've collected in the weeks leading up to my birthday. Most of the books that I get, I borrow from the library, and then if I like them enough, I buy them. It's not my preferred method, but it's definitely my wallet's preferred method. So that's mainly why I don't really do hauls. You know, there are exceptions to that rule, like Blonde. You know, if there's a movie that I just absolutely want to see that's based on a book, and I think that the book is actually going to be good, and the reviews seem to be overwhelmingly positive, then I will usually just splurge on that book. But for most of the time, I am reading ebooks borrowed from the library, audiobooks borrowed from the library, or physical books borrowed from the library. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Who knows, maybe I will find a way to do another haul, maybe a library book haul. I know that's a thing on BookTube. And if you've read any of these books, feel free to comment down below and let me know what you thought of them without spoiling them for me. I'm especially curious if anybody has read that Graham Greene book, because I really have never heard of it before. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe as always, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!